Right, we're going to do a little mini buyer's guide. We've come to have a look at this replica G4 Land Rover Discovery 3 that's for sale on a farm in Norfolk. We're going to have a little wander around, so we'll start like having a look around the bodywork. So let's go and have a look. So the bodywork looks all pretty straight. We're looking for like weird gaps or anything to see if it's perhaps been mashed or mangled. But all the gaps look okay, the wheel arches, nothing's popping out. Have a look in the door. That looks all well used. No sign of any recent paintwork. Interestingly, so this is a G4 replica and it's painted orange, as you can see, but they've painted all the inside door shuts. They haven't just done the outside, which often when people change the colour of a car, I noticed when I open this door, this step's been, and it catches on the step, but that's okay, we can replace the step. So this is a pretty basic, it's a manual model. It hasn't got leather seats, hasn't got electric seats, but we'll have a look at the inside in a minute. We've got electric windows and we'll check that, but for the minute we'll just focus on the bodywork. Let's have a look round. There's no damage there, no panel damage. We'll look down the side and check it all looks straight as we look down the side of the car. That all looks pretty in line. Again on the rear, let's have a look. We're missing a rear wiper blade here. It's got a rear ladder on, you'll notice. It's a bit creaky up there. That all looks fine. Dirty, standard dirty. Bit of trim needs clipping back in. We've got a switch missing on here. Let's have a look, no sign of any damage. All that panel under there all looks straight, no sign of rear end damage. This hasn't got the 7 seats, this has just got the 5 seats. A bit of wood support in the back there. That looks a bit suspect, but he's had a hard life, this one. But he's looking straight. He looks straight enough. Obviously, we'll check some things in a minute, like the function of the heated rear window and stuff. So we've got the tow bar on this one. Okay, let's have a quick look at the exhaust while we're around the back. Where is the exhaust finishing? Yeah, there we go. Oh, he's not. Right, again, down that side we're just looking for damage. All looks straight, all the wheel arches are on. There we go. These, and if you get a side impact, like our Range Rover, this pillar can have signs of damage or dent in it. And this area here, if you've had a side crash here, because the doors, but that all looks fine. This one here, there's some mud, but it all looks good. Right, so we've done a little check of the bodywork. Right, let's check some other functions. It's got some aftermarket mud flaps. These don't look like the proper mud flaps on it. Right, let's jump inside and check some of the functions and look what we've got inside. Right, so we're inside. We've got basic. Obviously, look at the condition of the seats, the trim. Look for marks, anything, particularly where the driver gets in and that. And you can see it's got some wear here, but we're not too worried. We got let me just show you, grab a camera. We got some sort of cable tie going on here, holding that on. But everything looks reasonable. They used to say check the wear on the brake pedal to check the mileage, but I don't think we're too worried about that. Steering wheels can often wear on these. This one, I don't think, because this must be a fairly basic model, because we've got a manual gearbox on this one. We've got no sat-nav screen here, so this must be a pretty basic one. We haven't even got aircon. We've got no electric seats. So we're pretty basic. And I'm surprised to see the cruise control on this, and also the other volume controls. I don't know if someone's fitted a higher spec steering wheel. And also we've got the leather steering wheel. You can see we've got stitching under here. The base models only had a plastic steering wheel. So let's have a look. What else have we got inside? What else? So obviously we're going to check the electric windows. We'll check the mirrors. We'll do some basic functionality. These Land Rover Discovery 3s suffer with the central locking modules packing up, and we did actually just check that. We haven't got a fridge or anything deluxe in here. They fitted an aftermarket stereo. So let's crack on. Right, we're going to start. Now, the first thing we're going to do is look at the gauges when we turn the key and look at the warning lights that come on. Often people have disabled warning lights, so you need to check they come on, particularly things like the oil light here, the oil can, the seatbelt light, the ABS light. He's told me already he's disconnected the handbrake module, so this one we know is going to flash, and we know this car's got lots of faults. And also the other thing to check is the error messages that come up on the, let me just do that again. You'll see the error messages come up, system check, and it'll tell you any problems it's aware of. Apply handbrake is telling me, well, we haven't got one. Park brake off, limit switch to apply, and the bonnet open. Okay, so we know about all these. The fuel gauge is working, the temperature gauge is cold, so we're not expecting a lot there. Right, so let's have a look now. Let's look how quickly this oil light goes off. So that's it. So let's start it. And we should expect, yeah, so the oil light's going off, which is an indication we've got good oil pressure. It goes off quickly. Right, the ABS light is staying on. That's a problem, and it's declared by the seller. But basically, all your warning lights, this is to do with the suspension, this is to do with the brakes, we've got ABS, we've got the parking light module and the handbrake. So we've got lots of errors. Fuel gauge is working. Right, let's do some basic checks. So what we can do is check the electric windows. Let's check they all work. I think this one on this side has got a problem where it sort of goes to the top, and we can recalibrate that if we buy it. Right, so don't worry about that too much. The back ones, right, I think they're a bit frozen this morning, but I can hear them clicking. So I think the back ones, obviously don't check a car on a frosty morning. Right, the other thing we can do is we can press the lock button, and you can walk around the outside, get someone to walk around the outside. All the doors should be locked. Now we've just done this, and this passenger door, George tried that, and that one is not locking. So we've got one central locking module out. That's a test worth doing. So we've done the electric window, we've done the central locking. The suspension here. So I was saying earlier, if you want to look under the car, it's worth getting in it, and you should be able to push this up here, and it should raise the suspension. Now, because of the numerous faults on this car, the suspension's not going up. But it'll be worth doing that. Remember, when you do that, you've got to have the doors closed. It won't do it if the doors are open, because they might catch on something. So put the door closed, raise the suspension, and then you can get a much better look under the car, and you'll be looking for dripping oil, signs of liquid loss, signs of damage underneath, damaged brake pipes, any of that stuff you want to have a look at. Right, so one thing you can do with a manual, not many of you are going to get a manual, is you can put it in neutral, so put the clutch down and lift the clutch up and down. Now, when we put the clutch down, it's disengaged the engine from the gearbox. Even in neutral, when you lift the clutch up, it will start spinning the gears. If you can hear a lot of come in and out as you put the clutch pedal in and out, it's a sign that there could be some bearings. This one's got, I can't notice. I'll turn the fan off. Other than the clutch, I can't hear any whirring or grinding from the gears at all. So that's quite promising. Well, the other thing you could check is the clutch bite point. So let's have a look. Yeah, that's all fine. Right in the middle of travel. No problems there. Right. Okay, what else was I was gonna, right, brakes. So one thing you can do to check the brake servo while you're sat here, if you turn the car off, right, pump the brakes a few times to get the air out the system, the pedal will go quite solid. And then what I'm going to do is start the car, and hopefully the brake pedal should sink just a little bit to show me that the servo's working. So here we go. There you go, you can see the brake pedal sunk just a little bit. So I know the servo on this car's good, which is good. The brakes seem fine. Right, electric mirrors. Another thing to check is electric mirrors. So make sure you've got your ignition on. Here you can twiddle this switch, which should operate this mirror. You rotate it that way, it should do that mirror. And then I should be able to move, so let me start on this one. I should be able to move this, and it should move the mirror glass. So we've got nothing going on this side, and we've got nothing going on this side. So already we've got a couple of electrical faults. We've got wing mirrors not working, we've got a central locking module not working, slightly tatty interior, parking module going. So we've got quite a few things that we could do videos and get our teeth into on this car. Positives, it's got the cool resprayed G4 styling. which is cool. I quite like the manual. We haven't got a manual. I think you get some extra controls with the manual, which would be good. Other positives, we've got the G4 roof rack, the G4, and they're quite expensive. It's got the proper G4 rack. The interior's all but perfect. I think we could clean this up okay. Right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the IID tool out. We're going to plug the IID tool in. And if you've got one of these IID tools, even if it's for your car, it will fault read on any Land Rover. So a Freelander Discovery 3, you can't modify your car with it, but you can plug it in and have a look. So I'm going to get my mobile phone out. I'm going to plug this into the ODB2 port and see if we can get a clue as to what is giving us all these problems. It could be something simple like the brake light switch. I did the video for that. That can cause havoc with your electrical. So let's dive in, have a look inside and see if we can get to the bottom and then decide whether how risky a purchase this is. Right, bear with me, I'll get this in. Okay, so I've plugged the IID tool in down here into the ODB2 port. There we go. Let's turn the ignition on. Right, and let's have a look. Search for tool. Okay, it's found the tool. Okay, it's scanning for modules. So this is gonna hopefully have a look. I'm not reflecting off the screen too much there, George. You good? So what's it telling me? Right, so let's have a look at faults. So if I press this one here, faults, and let's have a look. Faults will be red, and it's reading the faults. So it's going to go through the ECUs now. So yeah, if you can borrow an IID tool or similar off a mate before you go and look at one of these cars, it's well worth doing. I guess you should ask the owner's permission before you plug it in, just in case they take any offense. But this will confirm all sorts of things. Mileage. What is the mileage of this car? 156,000. When you check the mileage on here, though, often it's in kilometers. But let's have a look. So it's fouling in some ECUs. It's taking its time. It is cold this morning though, we'll forgive it. So we're up in Norfolk this morning. Right then, so let's have a look. Airbag has got 6 faults. So it's got passenger safety belt sensor failure. So we've got passenger safety belt pretension and deployment control, general electrical failure. So it looks like the airbags have gone off. What else has it got? Left side airbag. The failure resistance is gone. The multifunction indicator, bus signal message. Right, so we've got some airbag faults, not looking good. The auxiliary heater has got a fault, we're not too worried about that. Body control. So what have we got here? General signal failure, the signal bus, the tailgate release switch. We know that's faulty because it's got the passive start ignition relay. The interior lamps, the interior lamps, I think that's the last of our worries on this one. Communication with the instrument cluster control bus is missing a message. Right, let's have a look. Right, engine. Now I'm looking for a brake light fault on here. Lost communication with case control, exhaust gas valve. It probably had the EGR valve bypass, speed control. Vehicle signal speed, communication with instrument. Oh, we got everything. Brake switch. Now this is a good one because this is the one that can give a whole host of problems. If you've got this brake switch, now bear in mind we're in the engine, which you wouldn't think is. This change could be the one thing they've missed and could fix a lot of things. It's a £6, £7 thing, and I've done the video on how to replace that. Control module. So it's got a lost communication with restraints module. It's almost like someone's unplugged because of those airbags. So it's quite interesting what we can find in here. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but the brake light one was one I was looking for. Instrument pack, parking brake we know. Steering angle, suspension has got 10 faults in it. Communication with the vehicle's dynamic control module is missing a message. So it's got a lot of communication, like the CAN bus is missing. Speed signals, steering angle sensor is missing a message. So everything is missing a message. If you look, missing a message, missing a message, missing a message, missing a message. Something is not configured. The internal control module software is not configured. So this is interesting. I mean, this is worst case. I don't think you're gonna we got a ventilation. So there's a whole host of faults there that's going to need looking at. It may start with the brake light switch and move on to other things. You will always get some faults, and what we can do, this is a good trick, is you can press clear all, and that will clear all the faults. So some of those could be historic. He could have had faults he's fixed, because he has done quite a lot of work. He's put a new compressor on them. So let's clear all the faults, and then let's restart it. Again, this is another thing you can do. How many ECUs were there? Yeah. So now it automatically, when you clear, it rereads all the faults, okay? So sometimes it is worth recording the faults that you originally had. So this has reduced a lot of faults now. We've got a lot less ones here. So let's start it up again. Right, so it's got a body control. So the body control faults is... It's got a couple of circuit failures, passive start ignition relay, parking brake we know, steering angle's gone. Now the interesting thing is all those airbag faults have gone, so it looks like I've cleared his airbag faults for him. So maybe that was just it might have had a hiccup. So if they haven't come back, clearly the airbag faults should hopefully. Let's just have a look what the suspension fault is. Communication with the transfer case control module is missing a message, so that might be a dirty connection on a plug. Terrain response is again with the case so I don't think we've got as many faults as we did have there. So there we go. So worth doing. Right, let's get back. What have we checked? Always worth checking the fan works at all speeds. Okay, and could be worth checking the temperature works. Obviously if you've got aircon, check that the aircon works as well. And the other thing is, the motors that deflect the air can often blow in the wrong place, because there's little motors, I think they're called blend motors and stuff, but that's blowing on the windscreen now. If we move it to our face, you can hear it change. That's now blowing at our face again. So always worth checking the heating controls blow where you should think it should be blowing. Right, I think we're running out of things to check. Right, engine. Let's go and have a look in the engine bay. It's cold out, so I'll talk you through it now. We're going to have a look at the fluid, the oil level. We're going to have a look at the oil. Is it black, or has it got some water in it, in which case it goes a milky emulsified color. We're going to have a look at the water in the header tank for the engine coolant to see if there's any sign of contamination in there or low levels. And we're just going to have a look around the engine bay and see if everything looks factory or it looks messed about. Let's go and have a look. Right, so immediately in the engine bay we can see we've got a battery cover removed. I think I saw that in the boot. I think we've got the auxiliary heater going. We can hear that puffing, and there might be some smoke coming out underneath if we have a look, or some steam, but don't worry. But if you can hear a little whirring noise, that's just the auxiliary heater, and it's probably a good sign. Although the exhaust isn't hot, careful touching that. So that might need a purge, and you can do that on the IID tool, purge, and I will do a video on the auxiliary heater. We've got a lot of additional wiring here, but I think that's connected to the spotlights and other things, but it looks like it's been done okay-ish. But you need to watch that, because that can give problems. Right, it looks like the original colour of the car was perhaps a white colour looking on the inside. And again, look round for any signs of damage, front damage where these panels might be collapsed. Look in this front corner here. We've had some paint here. I don't know if there's been there's like a rusty hole or something in there. You can see that, George, on the camera. That looks slightly worrying. And someone's put some paint around here, maybe even some under seal, so we'll have to watch that. I'll have a little nose at that. The other thing is sometimes it can be connected to the snorkel, because we've had to they've had to fit the snorkel and route it into the airbox, so it may be connected with that, thinking about it. Right, let's have a look at the oil, shall we, George? So we could do with checking the oil levels. Let's have a look at the oil levels. Let me just get something to wipe it on. There we go. Oh, is it a crime to do it with a hanky? Yeah, it's a crime. I love my hanky. What should we do it on? We'll find a rag inside. Let's go and get a rag. We found a plastic bag on the floor. That's enough to clean it. Right. Let's have a look what the oil level's like and what the oil looks like. Okay, so the oil level's fine, and there's no sign of any water contamination, so that's all good. Right. Got no idea what the belts are like. It sounds okay. We don't know when the cam belt's done. Obviously, if you've got service history, when the cam belt's done, it's not too difficult a job to do the cam belt, and we will do a video on that. The TDV6 engine, if looked after, is reasonably reliable. We could look under the brake cover if I can get it off. No, we'll leave that. Right, but everything looks like it's fairly standard. You could check the operation of the lights, check the lights. Interesting, let's have a look at the lights. So this has got the halogen lights, not the xenon lights. If you've got the HSE with the xenon lights, they can be expensive if the control modules go. So worth checking the lights work on dip beam and main beam. Obviously, if you've got any accessories fitted, it's worth checking they work. I'll ask him if the winch works and other stuff. But there we go. Hopefully that's a brief introduction of some tyre wear. Let's have a look at the tyres. So obviously tyres can be expensive, especially if you've got big alloys. So look at the tyre wear pattern across the tread. Have a look if they're wearing on one side, because that can be a sign of some suspension fault. But that looks fairly even. Let's have a look at the back. So again, the tyres look okay, the wear looks fairly even. Let's have a look on that one. There you go. And it's got genuine mud flaps fitted on the back. Let's have a look at that front one. One thing that can go on these Discoveries is the front suspension wishbones. If you get a knock in as you turn, it can be a sign that the front wishbone go. It's a bit of a horrid job to do. They're not too expensive. There's some pattern ones out there now. Right, so that's our basic video of looking around. Obviously there's lots of extra things you can look at, but hopefully it gives you an idea, because when you're in front of a car looking at it, you think, what do I need to check? Obviously you're listening to the engine noise. Let's start it up and have a look. Let's have a look at emissions out the back, because you can tell. Let's see how smoky it is. It's a cold day today. So any sign of excessive smoke could signify a turbo problem. If your turbo bearings start to go, it can suck oil out through the turbo. Look out for if there's spare oil cans in the car. That can be an indication that they've had to keep topping the oil up. But this is a cold day and there's no real excessive smoke or fumes coming out the back. Always a good check. Right, I think that's pretty much my video wrapped up. Check the function of the brake lights, check the function of the rear lights. Right, I will leave you. I hope that's been a good introduction. Good luck with your Discovery buying.